Good morning and welcome to today's episode. It is October 3rd, 2020 on a moonlit morning in the Pacific time zone. It's very early and the harvest moon is bright outside, creating shadows in the whole 9 yards. It's quite pretty. And it also is very representative of the fact that there's a broader perspective going on here, that there's so much more than meets the eye. The moon is influencing us, or me, this morning with the shadows when I went out to take out the trash. Fascinating to me. And so, for those of you that are seeing this in the future, here's a little bit of context going on. So we're into day 2 of the person called the President of the United States is sick with the coronavirus. And once again, this is a moment to realize two things. There's a broader perspective going on here. There is a narrative that I do not necessarily have to take on. However, I do need to be aware of it. Because there's another factor to this that I am going to talk about. Like I have talked about this a lot. This is the basis of my Ho'oponopono work. We are all connected. Whether you like it or not, we are one human race. And the deplorable people, the quote-unquote deplorable people, I think right there, that statement alone was probably a downfall. If I don't acknowledge that this is the whole human race, that the people that creep me out are part of me, and I am a part of them. If I don't own that, then I live in a state of separation. And I live in a state of not understanding the consequences of my actions. And that's where we're at with the human race right now. There's a wonderful author who I follow and am currently reading one of his books. His name is Jim Palmer. And I believe he's a theologian of some sort. The book is called Divine Nobodies. That's it, yeah. And there was a quote that he'd put on his Facebook page yesterday that to remind us that sometimes we are the monkey and the circus at the same time. And his point of the whole quote, which I don't remember, was that we are one species. We are one species. And we live on a living planet. The planet is actually alive. And so when we destroy part of it, we're destroying part of us. Just like when we destroy other people or judge them or whatever, we're destroying part of us. Now, this is easier said than done. And I don't think anybody can or will be perfect at that. I don't even think people like Jesus were perfect at that. But they did do a lot of work around it. And, you know, from the limited amount of understanding that I have about Christianity, other than the fact that a large part of the Christian community is not practicing what would be considered Christianity, had to get in that dig. My understanding was that Jesus saw the whole of a person, saw the health of the person, and that's why he was able to create these miracles. So I have ranted and raved, and will continue to do so in my own way, on this channel about things going on, particularly things with the United States of America. And the only takeaway that I can have from this particular moment in time is that this is a true demonstration. The fact that the so-called president of the United States is sick, and we are yet again in another constitutional crisis. When I look up at the moon, I realize that there's a grander scheme and a grander picture going on here. And my little brain cannot wrap itself around all of that. And nor is it supposed to. What it is supposed to do is to acknowledge that I am just another part of the human race. I'm one cog in the wheel. And I'm here to show up and do what I can do to move the wheel forward. And when my time is up, I will be sloughed off, because it will no longer be important for me to be here. I will have provided my service to the continuation of the planet. And I'm hoping that these videos are a good representation of that. And my message, and I think this message has been very consistent over these last few months of doing these videos. My message is that this is all interconnected. I can't be a piece of separation. And my ego wants me to feel separated. I will die in that separation. It will kill me, as it will kill you. And we can see that happening all over the place right now. You know, the coronavirus is something that we can measure in terms of the illnesses on the planet. But yet, more people die of alcoholism and many other diseases than die of coronavirus. And even the actions that we're taking right now, some of them are being dispelled, But what they're also doing is once again creating a sense of separation. Everybody go home. Let's not work in an office anymore. Let's not go out. Let's not see anybody. It creates more separation. You cannot tell me that working from home full time is a good plan for most people and for a corporation as a whole. You can't tell me that that's the case. Yes, we may be able to pull it off for a couple of years because of a virus. But let's look. The grander scheme. This is, once again, creating separation when we are one. And I know people down through the ages have said this, particularly starting in the 60s. But we are. And it's hard. It is flat out hard. Because I don't really like a few people out there right now. I have pretty big contempt. And yet, at the same time, if they're part of my narrative, which they are, I have to take the responsibility to let go of the energy around that narrative. And I do that through prayer and, of course, certainly the Ho'oponopono prayers. So the big thing of today's episode, bigger picture, we are all one. We're all freaking out. And there's a grander plan. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée.